Good evening, and in a week where everyone's attention has been focused on saving the planet, I'm pleased to be able to tell you that at least 60% of the jokes tonight have been recycled. Elsewhere in the news, David Blunkett's latest proposals to revolutionise the education system meet with a mixed response. In Yorkshire, there are suspicions that the world's vainest sheep has a pimple on its nose. And at the Australian Lawn Tennis Championships, there's a shock for Anna Kournikova as she bends over to tie her shoelaces. With us tonight is a comedian who's just completed a 3-hour documentary on the Kama Sutra, but we've managed to wipe the smile off his face by putting him on Ian's team, Sanjeev Bhaskar. And with Paul Merton tonight is someone who, as a modern art critic, enjoys spending his leisure time staring at rubbish. So at least he's got something in common with tonight's audience. Matthew Collings. So with a scoreline of 4-4, only one round away. Let's start it with Ian and Sanjeev.
That's hot air. Oh, blimey, there
Even
he is.
hotter air.
There's Prescott being accused of being a chauvinist by this woman, Madame Voyer.
Oh. It's clowns being outed.
I mean, Prescott got incredibly annoyed, I think. He tried to broker a deal, and it fell through at the last minute, apparently because this French woman didn't understand a word he said. Join the club.
Yes.
Now, he said she was too tired and it was too complex for her. Anyway, she got pretty annoyed and said, "You're a chauvinist, sexist, macho."
And what was his witty riposte?
He said, "Macho moi." No, he didn't. He said, "Macho moi."
Have you any idea where he was born?
Yeah.
Where?
Prescott.
No, he was born in Prestatyn in Wales.
Oh.
Just like you, Ian.
Noswaith dda, dwrfer ganed I Nghymru, ac os ydy hwn yn gwneud fi'n Gymru rhywun hapus.
You doing...
What does that mean?
He said, I am a twit, and I was born in Wales, which makes me a Welshman. What I said last week was completely wrong, and I apologise particularly to Paul Merton, who I called a twit last week, and I say that he's right all the time. Clyde Cymru. That's what he said.
Rough translation.
Yeah.
Yes, this is
What
the...
a rough translation. Well, yeah, I was born in Wales, wasn't I?
Yes, it's the World Environment Summit in Holland. After the accusations of being macho, one paper profiled John Prescott, revealing that he has seen Billy Elliot 4 times. Come on, John, it's not that complicated. Paul and Matthew, now in its 5th sensational week.
George Bush reckons he's won because this guy has not won. Bush is saying, "I've won, I will be the Prez, and I'm going to go to Mount Olympus," which looks like Capitol Hill.
When they first kind of announced all the election results, he came out with a boil because of the pressure.
Yeah.
And it was a boil so major that it couldn't be covered up with makeup or anything. They had to stick a plaster on it.
Yeah.
What if something really major happens?
It turned up as a mummy.
Cuban Missile Crisis. It'd be like the Gremlins.
Yeah.
You feed him after midnight, he'll sprout loads more.
Exactly. You'll know when things are serious when you go for a quick, chat live to the Oval Office and there's a voice coming out of a cupboard. You've got nothing to worry about.
Do you know who takes over if they don't settle this dispute?
Catherine Harris, the senator of the Secretary of State in Florida.
Oddly
because
not.
she's become a media hero from being on the TV a lot.
But because she's good.
Actually, it may not have been her as a media hero. I remember reading this story earlier in the week. It was to do with the anchor men and women on the TV. They've become media heroes, and that's where the White House is going to be, in the TV stations. There's been a lot of deploring of the fact that politics is no longer on Mount Olympus or in Capitol Hill, but it's played out now in the TV stations.
Right.
So it'll be Catherine Harris and the anchor men will be the president.
Right.
Is that right?
No, it's actually a 97-year-old that takes over. Strong.
Oh, yeah, Father of the House, is it?
Yes, he's the oldest senator.
See, he'd have his finger on the button.
Yeah.
But that woman is actually a judge, the very glamorous one.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Catherine, yeah.
They don't look like that over here, judges, do they?
I don't know, Ian. What do they look like?
They're very, very wise and distinguished. Next time.
What's Clinton's involvement been in this week's events?
He's holding the keys to this kind of transitional office with sort of like $7 million or something. But he obviously gets the use of it for a bit longer.
What do you use that office for again? I can't quite remember.
Hand counts.
One of the least likely contenders for the title of world leader, Mr. Bush is responsible for such intellectual gems as if we don't succeed, we run the risk of failure. I understand small business growth, I was one. And families is where our nation finds hope, where wings take dream. Bring back Ronald Reagan. Ian and Sanjeev, a bit of a departure for you.
Oh, well, that footage is obviously faked. The train's moving. There was someone spent 9 hours, the train, for a 1 hour journey.
Yeah, to Nottingham.
To Nottingham took 9 hours.
9 hours.
And they left them in the siding and they just didn't tell them what was happening. For hours. And being British, obviously, they sat there reading the paper. After about 8.5 hours, someone said, do you think, I think we should do something. Oh.
They did offer them some compensation, in fact.
Cup of tea?
One free item from the buffet car.
They had derailments this week as well, didn't they? Wasn't there one guy who kind of drove on for 4 miles without realising the back of his train had sort of slipped off the track?
Yes, that's right. And who's the possible new chairman of Railtrack?
Not Stephen Norris.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was a joke.
Do you remember what he had to say about trains not that long ago?
He said they were full of smelly people who you didn't want to meet.
He said it on driving in a car. He said it's so much better than travelling by train because you have your own company, your own temperature control, your own music, and don't have to put up with dreadful human beings sitting next to you. So he's obviously travelled by train anyway. Yes. Of course, you've done a great rail journey, haven't you, in India?
Yeah, I travelled Calcutta right the way across the top of India.
Where were you trying to get to? Swindon?
And having a new street.
Yeah. Charing Cross I was aiming for. No, it's fantastic. Trains all went on time.
They don't have to clear leaves off the track.
No.
Cows. You can just go choo-choo and they'll go with leaves. That's what they found before. They were doing that for hours. Just wouldn't move. They refused.
You've just come back from India as well, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Did you travel by train at all whilst
Not at
you
all.
were filming?
Full of smelly people. I was on a coach, there were even smellier people.
Oh, right.
The rest of the cast.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. Do you want to have a look at them clearing shoo-shoo off the line?
Yeah.
This is how they check for cracks. They have one man who goes up and down the line with a machine.
It would help if he was looking at the rail.
He's got a canary.
It is the so-called nervous breakdown suffered by Britain's railway network. Last weekend in the northeast of England, rail staff worked at top speed to replace 19 miles of track, only just managing to stay ahead of the 217 from Newcastle. And finally, Paul and Matthew.
Turner Prize. Stuff in the Turner Prize by Tomoko Takahashi, a Japanese artist who makes art of rubbish. Copy by Glenn Brown of a picture on the front of a science fiction book. Man who won Turner Prize, Wolfgang Tillmans, takes photos of anything. And there's some guys outside protesting against the Turner Prize, dressed up as clowns, and they call themselves the Stuckists. Meantime, everyone inside the Turner Prize didn't care what the Stuckists said.
And were you with the people who didn't care about what was going on at the Turner Prize?
No,
Were you not a big fan?
I said right on to the Stuckists.
Right.
And
But you
then I
don't
said,
know why.
cool, baby, to the champagne quaffers inside. And I felt loving towards both the opposing camps.
So you're with the Stuckists?
I was with them in spirit, but I was inside out of the rain. with the champagne.
So who was the winner then?
Well, the lovely Wolfgang Tillmans, the Wolfman, this German guy who is a kind of fashion photographer who crossed over into the world of art and does photos for the Big Issue.
He does quite a lot of homoerotic photography as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's shocking. You can hardly describe it without being shocked.
Oh, go on.
Well,
This is an adult programme. It's going on after 9 o'clock. You can shock us.
it's kind of polymorphous homoeroticism. Anything he photographs instantly becomes homoerotic.
Right, I've had enough.
What about the man undoing his trousers with shaved pubic area exposed?
Well, I was shocked.
So, is that art?
Yes.
Semi-naked man urinating on chair?
Not for me, thank you.
Somebody had that on my chair. No, I think anything can be art. You know,
Absolutely.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
What about Glenn Brown's homage?
No, he's a lovely man. That was lovely art. Yeah,
Right.
that was really good.
The picture of the spaceship.
And you can't tell from a little, TV screen like that his painting is very big, and the science fiction illustration is like 6 inches across. What's the problem? Yeah, it's obvious it's not the same thing.
So plagiarism doesn't exist except unless you do it the same scale.
That's right.
Yes, just to back up your argument, Matthew, we can see the cover of the 1974 sci-fi novel by Anthony.
Tiny
There you are,
paperback
yeah.
book.
There you are.
Yeah.
And this is The Loves of the Shepherds by Glenn.
Massive, 12 foot.
Awesome.
But I thought you said it was very boring this year.
It was boring until I changed my mind.
And the Japanese artist?
I believe everyone has a right to express themselves as they wish.
Is there a title to this, by the way? Does this have a title?
Learning to drive.
Learning to drive, yeah. She was actually having driving lessons at the time.
Did she hit something?
Yes, and for an avant-gardist, that's a great strain. And this was her expression of her expressing all the things that she'd had to repress while stopping for the traffic lights and doing that manoeuvre.
Conforming to bourgeois
mirror
stuff
signal,
like
manoeuvre.
signals.
Exactly,
Yeah,
when I hit the...
All shit.
How long have you had that button?
It's this year's Turner Prize announced on Tuesday. One of the entries was by artist Glenn Brown, who was accused of copying an image from a 70s science fiction book. Brown defended himself, saying, "I radically altered the work in terms of scale and colour. Must have pressed the wrong button on the photocopier."
It was 12 foot big.
It was a very big photocopier.
Where?
In his office. He's got a very, very large office.
Where's your bullshit button? Go on, press that.
Disappeared. Curious. After the row over Brown...
I've got one.
After the row over
Beep,
Brown...
beep, 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 beep.
I wish I'd known about that 10 years ago.
After the row over Brown's picture, the winning entry was by Wolfgang Tillmans, a controversial photographer who, according to one report, once photographed a naked man with chained nipples masturbating, before adding, "And now can we have the bride's family, please?" Which means at the end of that round, both sides' pegging is about as level as it gets, sharing, as promised, 4 points each. On to then, and our regular homage to tabloid journalism takes the form of admiring two of the week's most inspired headlines, Ian and Sanjeev. Your case in point, Hindi on me handy.
Well, this is about Bex. He wanted a tattoo on his arm to show his love for his wife. So he decided to have one in Hindi. I don't how many people here kind of read Hindi? Good. I'm an expert, and people think it says her name, but actually it answers the football chants about his wife.
He got it wrong anyway, didn't he?
He did. He actually, yeah.
We can have a look at it now, in fact. The Guardian claimed that there was a typing error, which is a bit rich from The Guardian, I suppose.
Was it typed onto his arm?
I believe not, no.
That must have been a hell of a typewriter. The keys must be pounding in against him. Probably in the same office has got a 12-foot photocopier. Typewriter that actually prints on your arm.
Talk us through it then, is it
Well,
wrong?
it seems to me that it's incorrect. I think it's kind of been phonetically written. Because they obviously said to him, "What do you want in your arm?" And he went, "Victoria." And they went, "What?" And he said, "Victoria." And they went, "Oh, OK, VH."
I don't want to be rude, but it's the second letter from the end of mens urinal.
So where else have Posh and Beck's been this week, apart from the tattooists?
Didn't they go visit the Express offices with the new chap in charge?
Oh, yeah, the new porn baron guy who's in charge of all the papers now.
Amongst his kind of magazines, weren't there sort of things like there was Asian Babes, I think was one of
Yeah.
them. OK, I think is one of them. And Readers' Wives as well. And
Nude readers' wives.
Pardon?
Nude readers' wives.
Yeah,
is what it's
because
called.
in itself it wouldn't be particularly interesting, would it?
Did you use any of these for your research purposes?
No.
For
Well,
when you were doing
OK,
a documentary
obviously.
about Kama Sutra?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't need to because sorry, that came out wrong, didn't it? Well, being Indian, I'm sort of, genetically designed to be able to do all the positions from the Kama Sutra.
What's the most difficult one?
The ones on your own.
Really? Are you doing one of them now?
According to the News of the World, Beckham suffers from depression when Victoria is out performing with the Spice Girls. Don't we all? According to The Sun, Victoria Beckham is also sporting a new tattoo this week. She has 3 stars etched on the base of her spine to show her love for her family, or to show that you can keep her in the freezer for a month. Paul and Matthew, your prize turner, revolving dorks.
Yes, I think this was a story that was about the BBC, in fact. They've put in some revolving doors somewhere and they've issued a booklet, a leaflet, to explain to people how the revolving door principle works. And some newspapers have called this a total waste of money.
Yes, this is the automatic turnstile user guide that you're referring to.
Yes.
And it says things like, don't both push in different directions.
They have these 3 diagrams to help. This is how to...
Why is that ice cream cornet singing?
This is how to approach a revolving door. This is how to pass through one.
Good.
And this is how to leave one.
Looks good to me.
Yeah.
It's a model of clarity, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
But is it art?
What unusual piece of programming has been announced by the BBC this week?
Blue Peter's going to be in the nude. Over no central heating, so it will actually live up to its name.
No. It concerns a radio program.
Oh, Harry Potter on Radio 4, Christmas Day.
yeah.
They're going to be 12 hours. Boxing Day, is it?
Yeah.
Millions of listeners will sit enthralled, wondering whether or not Harry will save his best friend and rescue the secret of eternal life from the evil wizard Voldemort. But in case you're going out, the answer's yes. Which circular arguments bring us spinning to the end of this round, with both teams seemingly obsessed with each other's scoreline, clinging as they are to 6 points apiece. Odd one out as usual then, just one per team this week. Paul and Matthew, your famous clowns, are Jim Carrey, Jonathan Aitken, Tara Palmer-Tompkinson, and Yuan Tsai and JJ Shi.
The Chinese guys actually trained as artists in Beijing. They actually reached the stage of being able to paint like Rembrandt. And they came over to London to be sort of conceptual artists and situationists, weirdly. And have spent their time ever since jumping on Tracy Emin's bed.
It involves something that Yuan Tsai and JJ Shi did recently.
They invaded something.
They urinated on Marcel Duchamp's artwork Fountain.
They did.
At Tate
I read
Modern.
that. So urine is the theme, right?
It certainly
The one who
figures.
hasn't urine.
Yes.
Well, it's
who
got to
hasn't
be Jonathan,
urinated.
then.
Yeah.
Because he would never do that.
I'm going to have to put
Well, he
you out
was
of your
taking the
misery
piss for years as a cabinet
here. The answer is that they've all worked as toilet cleaners, except for Yuan Tsai and JJ Shi, who recently urinated on Marcel Duchamp's fountain at the Tate Modern.
Well, it's kind of asking for it, isn't it?
Yes, they stood on either side of it and urinated for a minute, which is impressive by itself, I think.
And Tate Modern just gets thousands in there. It's swarming in there, so they're surrounded by like thousands of people.
Do you know what the aim was?
Yeah, it was pretty good, actually.
Just make people re-evaluate what constitutes art. According to the Mail on Sunday, whilst in prison, Jonathan Aitken was quickly promoted from his job as junior lavatory cleaner, explaining the senior lavatory cleaner left, so I filled his shoes. One less toilet to clean, I suppose. Ian and Sanjeev, your city groovers are Steps, Prince William, Page 3 stunner Jordan, and Alistair Campbell.
Is this something to do with Britney Spears? This is right, isn't it? Alistair Campbell, unbelievably, the chief government spin doctor, was seen going on his own to a Britney Spears concert. He's a big fan, and he went by himself. It's sad, really. She went to the concert, and Steps went to the concert. Everybody goes to Britney Spears' concert, except William, who's not allowed to. So he's the odd one out.
Is the right answer. And do you know what's even sadder than the fact that he went to the concert?
Did I know the answer?
That he actually went to the end of tour party at Planet Hollywood as well. We can see him arriving. Same
What's wrong with his neck?
Having studied the Kama Sutra, I know exactly what's going on.
Even sadder than that, he actually hovered by the table but never met her.
Oh, he's just shy.
Interesting trick if you can do it. He must have his own jetpack. That's what it is. He's in the government. He's hovering by the table. Well, it's good enough for him. It's not good enough for the rest of us, though.
According to the Sunday Times, Alistair Campbell once described Princess Diana as vacuous, shallow, silly and not very bright, although, to be fair, the wreath itself was lovely. And so to our now virtually popular final missing words round. A curious crop of this week's headlines, made curiouser by the inclusion of one, two or less from this week's guest publication, the irreplaceable Lighthouse Digest. Their website is lhdigest.com. So someone's obviously already got lighthousedigest.com, which is kind of scary. So prepare for... Tom and Jerry's latest weapon is what?
Big dog with great big teeth.
Stealth frying pan.
A microwave is the answer. Next, 7th annual what contest?
Lighthouse, there's got to be, isn't it?
That's
Lighthouse bean.
What, you think there's a contest for the
Loveliest
best
lighthouse.
bean?
Yeah, exactly. What's the best lighthouse
Best
bean?
kept
The furthest that it
lighthouse.
goes.
It's not best kept lighthouse, no.
Worst kept lighthouse. Darkest lighthouse. Furthest inland. There's one in Wolverhampton. Got a powerful beam, though. You never see a ship going up Wolverhampton Ice Beam, do you?
Lighthouse photo
There we are.
contest is the answer. Next, genius parrot can what?
Stick its bill up its own arse. That's like the old joke about what's the gas board and the pelican and the parrot got in common? They can all stick their bills up their arses.
This is the one that can read minds.
It is. Read people's minds is the right
really?
answer, yes. According to Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, this parrot has the most accomplished language skills of any bird on record, although this was denounced as anthropomorphic gobbledygook by the parrot. Next, watch out for Prescott's what?
Stomach.
Oh, his new plan to cement over the south of England.
Prescott's Lighthouse. I
control.
bet there's a lighthouse called Prescott's Lighthouse somewhere in Kent somewhere. Watch out for Prescott's Lighthouse.
Is the right answer historic lighthouse?
Lucky guess there.
This is the town of Prescott in Canada, in fact, whose wide front boasts a short tower, so they have more in common than just a name. Next, what is a chimpanzee's job?
Reading the news.
Is the right answer.
Jeremy Paxman. He said that reading stuff out loud from all the queue was something that a chimpanzee could do.
Bit of an insult to chimpanzees.
No.
Oh, please.
Don't put yourself down, we'll do it.
Don't put yourself down in the animal hospital sense.
And finally, Queen Mum approves of what?
New hips.
This is a teddy bear. They've made a teddy bear like her, a little hat on, a blue suit and a bottle of gin.
A royal teddy bear is how it phrases it.
Now show us the picture of the bear.
Which wayward finishing means at the end of the day, well, both teams seem to have 10 points. I'll have to invent a tie-break question. What is the capital of Albania?
Tirana.
Is the right answer. Very good. But before we let them loose on an unsuspecting public, there's the brief penance that is our caption competition.
Janet Street Porter's dog wins Crufts.
Dogs are colourblind, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
He's probably
he thought he's gone out in a minimal outfit. Cool.
It should be on Animal Hospital, that dog. Poor little dog. This dog's got rainbow-itis. We're going to have to put him down. Poor little fella. Look at that. He's gone.
I always thought he was Australian. On which,
Who did you always think was Australian?
Rolf Harris, we say thank you to...
I was actually doing Nelson Mandela.
On which, defining note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Sanjeev Bhaskar, Paul Merton and Matthew Collings, and I leave you with news that in Westminster, word of William Hague's latest popularity ratings reaches the shadow cabinet. In London, Ewan Blair puts the finishing touches to preparations for his mock A-levels. And at Whipsnade Zoo, there's a long queue for the toilets. Good night.
If you've just awoken from a spindle-induced 100-year sleep by a peck on the lips, we've got the perfect way for you to catch up. Have I Got News for You is on all evening here on UK TV G2, helping forgetful princesses all over England.